What's up, every peoples? Justin here from Real World Strength, and it is Technique Talk Thursday. Now, I've had several people ask me about muscle ups, do a video on muscle ups, because it's a tricky movement, and it's something that came up, well, it came up once during the Open, but it does come up periodically in our skill practice and in benchmark workouts. So we're going to break it down into constituent parts. This is the kipping muscle up, by the way, not the strict muscle up. The strict muscle up is actually simpler, but it's harder. It's usually the way things go in life. The simplest things are the hardest. But anyway, kipping muscle up, break it down into parts, and just do kind of a summary overview of what to be thinking about during each part of the movement. And we can go into it in more detail in a future video. Now, when I think of how to do a muscle up, I think of it like a clean. There's three parts of the clean, followed by the recovery. The first pull of the clean is where you're picking the bar up off the ground and you're getting into position for the explosive acceleration upward of the weight. Second pull is when you actually do accelerate the weight upward using the hips and legs. Third pull is pulling yourself against the bar to get into position, to catch the weight. And then you have the recovery where you stand up. Now let's relate that to the muscle up. In the muscle up, the first pull is the kip. So that would be, let's see, I'm going to go frame by frame here. Right there. That's the first pull. It's essentially the setup. The second pull is the actual kip, the launching of the hips upward, which is, if you're just watching the hips, right in there. The hips are opening up and you can see the center of mass float up towards the rings. Then the third pull is from right about here. You're pulling against the rings. You're pulling yourself actually over the rings into that position there, into the bottom of the dip. And then the recovery would be just pressing it out, or in this case, kipping the press out because of kipping muscle ups. So let's watch that in real time. And incidentally, watching it backwards looks really funny. It's like, all right. That's endlessly amusing to me. But anyway, so once again, we've got the setup, that's pulling from the shoulder, and then we have the kip, big kip, to float up to the rings, and then the aggressive pull to get into position into the bottom of the dip, and then pressing it out. Those are the three main phases of the muscle up. Usually what we see going wrong, either people aren't pulling enough to get that initial momentum using the lats. They're not kipping high enough. They're not getting enough power out of the hips. And most commonly, they're not pulling with enough force to actually get themselves over the rings. That is, in fact, the kind of the linchpin of the muscle up, is from right about there. It's being able to continue that pull seamlessly to get into position at the bottom of the dip, and then pressing it out is the easy part. So those are your three main parts of the muscle up. In terms of what to fix if you keep trying to do muscle ups and you're like kind of flailing in space, there's really one very simple fix. Strengthen your pull over the rings. Strengthen your strict muscle up, work on the low rings, get stronger through the turnover. If you're strong enough in the turnover, you don't even need the kip. So the stronger you get with that, using your hips to kind of get that upward momentum, that's just going to help you get more reps. It's generally ill-advised to try to kip your way to your first muscle up. Get to the point where you can do one strict, and then we'll worry about busting out a whole bunch of them with a kip. That's it for this week. Muscle ups are near and dear to my heart. They're one of the few things that I'm actually good at. So I like to think that I know what I'm talking about. Anywho, that's it for this week. We'll see you next time.